Hi guys. To start with a couple things. First off, I am gonna take those off. Excuse me. Okay. I am sorry for the quality of this video. Um, I'm doing it from my computer versus from my phone, so I'm sure the quality might not be as good as from my phone. Um, and also, I'm sorry that this is not going to be edited. Um, I'll try to keep it as brief as I can. Um, Also, you may see my screen switching or like the lighting switching because I will be going back and forth from like my notes to my camera to make sure like everything's still going okay. So I have an update. I updated I think back in May, which was pretty much the only upload minus maybe two videos for 2019. Um, this is going to be just kind of like a trigger warning. This is a mental health video. This is a video that will talk about physical assault, that will talk about suicidal thoughts, a suicide attempt. I think I covered all of that. So just to let everybody know that those things will be briefly discussed in this video. So let's start with, let me see if I can just, yeah, this will work if I kind of minimize it here. Okay, so last video I posted was in May. Not a whole lot really went on. As I mentioned, our youngest son came back from Oregon. He's an adult, but he's our youngest. He came back and was living with us. That lasted, I don't know the exact time frame, but that lasted, I'm gonna guess, until like the middle to end of June. When we told him, look, this isn't working out, you need to work on finding somewhere else to go. He had a problem with drinking and drug use and theft. And we had given him several chances between that May and middle to end of June timeframe to kind of get it together. And we told him each time, look, this is, if you can't get it together, we will be telling you need to leave. And so ultimately, it came down to that, and we told him he needed to leave. He was very angry when he left. And we hadn't heard anything for the longest time from him. And then on July 2nd, he showed up at our house and was just pounding on the doors and the windows. And I had some anxiety when we had told him he needed to leave. So anytime he came prior to that, I just would tell him, look, you need to come back when your dad's home from work. I'm not going to do this right now. And he wouldn't, like, there wouldn't be an issue with that. Well, this time I just had a feeling like something was wrong. The way that he was like waving me over to open the door. And so I opened the door. And I stood out on our side step. Our side door, we've got steps. And to the side of the step, underneath the window, you can't really see unless you're looking for it, that it's, also a side step because there's an overgrown bush there, basically. When I had stepped out, he had bent down, grabbed, let me back up here, this stick, can't really, as you see the knotted end, let me do it this way, this branch slash stick from the side step and did like a turnaround roundhouse to the side of my face. It's a large branch. I don't know how many times I got hit. I know that I didn't, that's a bright light. Sorry. Okay, I know that I didn't, like, lose consciousness, but I kind of blacked out, I think, because he hit at least once. I remember feeling the pain at least once. And um, I really didn't know how to react because my first thought was, if I defend myself, my husband's going to get mad at me. This is my stepson. Like, I can't defend myself. Um, so at one point, I started wrestling this away from him, and I got it back from him. And I remember saying, "You need to leave. I'm going to call the police." And him kind of laughing and walking toward our garage, which is, back behind the house more. And I went inside the house and I called 911. And I don't think they took me that seriously because I said my stepson just hit me with a stick. I mean, it's a stick, but it's large. As I was on the phone with 911, he came down the driveway on his bicycle that was stored in our garage and took off. And I said to the cops, "You need to hurry up and get here. He's going to get away." Well, then they got off the phone with me. They're like, "He left?" And I said, "Yeah." And so they said, "We'll send an officer." Didn't ask if I needed an ambulance or anything. I was in a lot of pain, but I wasn't really thinking of anything like to ask for an ambulance or anything. And then I got on the phone with my husband. At first, I started trying to text him because my husband does not have a office phone himself, like a work phone that I can reach him on in the office. And I didn't want to call his cell phone, but I could not type. I was so upset and in so much pain that I could not type out that I needed him to come home, that I was just assaulted by his son, that I was afraid that he was going to come back, that I didn't know if I need medical care. So I ended up just texting him, 911, you need to call me. And he called pretty much right away. And he's like, "I'll be right home." And I came inside and I locked myself, obviously, inside the house. And I thought the police would beat him here. But they didn't. My husband arrived about a half an hour later from his work, saw the injuries, said, "We need to take you in and make sure that there's nothing broken." It was right by my eye socket and in this temple area was most of like the bruising and injury or whatever. And so we went to the hospital, and while we were there, the police called and said, "Well, just call us when you're home from the hospital and we'll come back." And I said, "Okay." And then I told my husband that, and my husband's like, "No, they need to come now." And so he called them back and he said, "Look, we're at the hospital. You need to come now and take a report now." And they said, "Okay." They didn't do any x-rays or anything. They felt around and they're like, "It's tender, it's swollen, but, you're not, I guess, an incredible amount of pain." So, like, they didn't think anything was broken. And so the police came and they took, the police report from me, took photos, and said that there was going to be a warrant out for his arrest. During that time, so from July 2nd to the 15th, and this whole time I'm healing, my anxiety is through the roof. If I heard a loud truck go by, I would have a panic attack. He drove illegally, mind you, but he drove a loud truck, like the exhaust was loud on it. If anybody knocked on the door and I wasn't expecting anybody, if I heard a noise that sounded like someone was trying to get into a window, I couldn't mow my front yard because my back would be facing the street and I wouldn't be able to tell if someone biked up or walked up behind me. And he didn't get picked up during that whole time. They couldn't find him. And so my anxiety, I was not sleeping. It just was, it was not good. It was a not good time for me. On July 15th, my oldest stepson had some legal problems. And so July 15th was a court date that we went to. And we walked in, we being myself, my husband, my sister-in-law, my mother-in-law, and my other sister-in-law. Um, we walk into the courtroom, and my youngest stepson who insulted me was sitting there. And my sister-in-law and I went down to like the security at the courthouse. And the last thing that I remember was being in the elevator and just shaking uncontrollably. Um, Now, I should note that after the assault, trying to read the date here. So after the assault, I was having a lot of anxiety, like I mentioned. I'd reached out to my doctor and I had asked for an increase on my Lexapro because my Lexapro was working on for my depression and anxiety up until that point. She prescribed me, and I don't have a date of when I did this, but she prescribed me an additional drug called mirtazapine. I don't know this for sure how to do it or pronounce it, sorry. Mirtazapine, maybe. She prescribed that. And so I started taking that. And so on July 15th, we go to the courthouse. He's there. We go downstairs, tell security. The last thing that I remember, like I said, is just shaking in the elevator. They ended up obviously arresting him and taking him. From what I'm told, after the court date, I am in just a vicious mood. Just picking a fight with my husband and my in-laws, and just being very combative. So the next morning, so this would have been the 16th, my my oldest stepson and my husband went out to breakfast. I sent him some texts. Now, the evening of the 15th, I had access to a prescription pain medication called Tramadol. And I took 8 Tramadol. Now, I no longer have access to the bottle to know the dosage of the Tramadol, but I'm just going to guess it was the minimum dosage that is usually prescribed, because I looked up like what the maximum daily dose is for Tramadol, and I took that many, which was 8, and I took it all in one time. This was not a suicide attempt. It was just like I wanted to be high and forget everything. And so I took 8 Tramadol the day before. So the next morning, my friend, my stepson, and my husband, they go out for lunch. Now, I went through the text, and this is what had happened. They're out to lunch. I'm home alone. I sent him a text. Your other son, the one that assaulted me, got released today. I hope he comes and finishes the job. I'll just lay here and welcome it. Bye. I said, pardon my language, fuck all y'all. Leave me the fuck alone forever. All of you are bitches. Every last one of you. Dance on my motherfucking grave. I thought you leaving and ghosting me was my nightmare, but it's my fucking reality. You shoved the pills down my throat, and she sliced my wrists. You all wanted this, and now you got it. Happy ever after, Mr. and Mrs. Good riddance. Actually, I wasn't home alone. His sister was sleeping down in the basement. Because at this point, he sends a broadcast to our Google Home devices. And he says, you know, her name, will you please go up and check on Krista? He was trying to call her and couldn't reach her. Now, this part I don't remember. And everything from being at the courthouse is a little fuzzy. And then everything kind of after that, I don't remember. These are all notes that I took from compiling everything afterwards. I then said to text, eat your fucking food like you didn't just commit murder. Send my ashes to my family to shit on. Fuck you and your Babysitter's too fucking late. Um, he sent another broadcast at that time. Um, and then I said, don't pretend like you care. You never did. You never will. It's too late for the shining armor. I needed it then. Too late for it now. And then he sent me a text that said, police are on their way. Please answer the door when they get there. I know that I didn't self-harm, but I did take tramadol again. I don't know how much I took, but I did take more tramadol. The police showed up. I let them in the house. They have what is known as a mobile crisis unit in our town come. They came by. I agreed to go in and be evaluated. While they were in talking with me, my husband, my friend, and my stepson came back home. And my husband tried to come in the house, and I told the police that I didn't want him in the house and I didn't want him to know which hospital I was going to. So the officer told everybody to wait outside until after we left. And as we were leaving, my husband asked again, where are they going so I could meet you there? And the officers told him that they couldn't tell him because I didn't want him to be there. Now at the ER, I was sedated several times with Ativan because I was very verbally combatant once I knew that I wasn't going to be able to leave. I was calling if they had a phone in my room, I was calling my husband several times and just spewing vile hatred out of my mouth. He never told me what I said during those phone calls, but he said it was not good. At one point, he did tell me that I told him that I had the doctors manipulated and that I'd be getting released. And then I was just going to come home and finish a job, but that I'd make sure that it looked natural so he could at least get life insurance on me. And then I wasn't blocking the number, so he called the number back, and it went to the main receptionist at the hospital that told them that what I was doing, and they came in and took my phone. They asked me if I'd voluntarily stay for psychiatric treatment. I said no. I said my husband is just lying about everything so that he can lock me up and have an affair. I told them that I wasn't crazy, that they were, what did I say? I'm not crazy. I said he was lying and trying to have an affair and that they forced me here, that I came voluntarily, so I should be able to leave voluntarily. And they ended up doing an involuntary hold on me. A lot more Ativan was given to sedate me. I was not good. I was trying to leave the hospital. At one point, I had told them to call my husband to show up. But he had actually turned off his phone because of just the horrible things I was calling and saying. So they didn't have a room for me right away on the mental health ward. So I went to what they call an observation unit. And this was on the 18th. There was a bed alarm, so I wasn't allowed to leave my bed. If I had to use the bathroom, I had to page a nurse, and someone went with me. I couldn't have the door shut. I was allowed to have my cell phone during this time, but I couldn't have the charger in the room with me. I did get a hold of him and my husband, and he did come and end up and staying with me during that time. On the 18th is the same time that they decided to stop that new medication that the doctor prescribed me, the Mirazepam or whatever it was called, and they started me on Seroquel. I was still very combative still, so I was given a lot more Ativan throughout that day to keep me sedated as well. And my husband helped me dry shower on the day of the 18th. I couldn't even go and take an actual shower. On the 19th, I was still in the observation room, sending him a text about what all needed to be done throughout the day around the house. Told him I was getting released that day. I sent him a text, how do you want me to get a hold of you when I'm discharged? It may be during work hours. The guy that came over right before me just got discharged, so I'm next and just waiting for it to happen. He said, I don't think you can get discharged, love. I said, yes, I can. Why couldn't I be discharged? And he said they did a court-ordered hold. And I said, no, they didn't. Um, they did, though. He said, either way, I don't think you should leave before you get your meds balanced. I can't stop you, but I don't think it's a good idea. They are not intending on clearing you without observation first. The doctor made that very clear to me. I said, yeah, so I think observation for a few hours tonight, even though I've been observed all day. So I'm asking you what you want me to do when I get discharged. And he said, just call me when it happens. I said, I'm going to talk to a nurse in a minute to get more information. But since that guy just left and he got a room like 10 minutes before me, then I'm next. And I'm thinking it will be soon. And then there was the break in time for the text. And I said to him, she's saying I need to be here for 5 days. Just so you know, a court order now appears on my record and will cause me severe problems in the future as far as renting or adopting, etc. You should have just let me handle it in outpatient. I was never served the notice like I should have been. I'm going to ask for a copy of the notice and find a loophole so I can get out of here. At this point, they had to sedate me again. So I apparently was looking at my phone as far as what has to be done for court ordered holds, and one of those was that you have to be served the notice that they're court ordering you to stay. And so I was trying to find any legal loophole that I could find to get out of that hospital. Obviously, I didn't find any loophole because several hours later, I texted him again. My arms won't hold still. They aren't doing anything as far as the nurses. I need a hydroxyzine or something. They won't stop and it hurts and I'm crying. Then the nurses sedated me. My arms felt like electricity was going through them. I would like compare it to like restless leg syndrome or something, but in my arms. On the 19th, I was moved to the mental health ward. These are the texts that I sent him right before I went there. And he was at work, so he really wasn't looking at his phone during this time. I said, hello, I need to call you. Call me. It's important. I need you. Please don't do this to me. I need to talk to you. I'm feeling abandoned. What did I do now? I just need to talk to you. Why are you ignoring me? God, I feel so alone. I hate this. I just need someone to talk to. I wanted it to be you. And then I sent another text. It just sedated me again. I need to talk to you. Now, again, I have no memory of any of this stuff going on like right now. From that elevator ride down to the courthouse to the 20th of July. So the 15th to the 20th of July is like a black hole in my head. Like it just doesn't exist. The first memory that I have is waking up on the morning of the 20th in the inpatient behavioral health ward. I do have some notations as far as a diary that I kept. I'm not going to read all of that to you. It's all just pretty mundane. But basically, I spent 4 days in the behavioral health unit. I was away for a total of 6 days between the ER visit and the observation ward. I got released on the 22nd, the afternoon of the 22nd. So basically, when I got released, they released me on my full dose still of Lexapro to take, as well as 100 milligrams of Seroquel to take. And so far, that seems to be working well. I was still having like panic attacks, and so they did also prescribe like a 25 milligram Seroquel to take if I'm having an anxiety or panic attack. So, since then, let me see. Let me bring up. So since then, I've been on medication, adhering to the medication. I tried an extensive outpatient treatment program that I did not have a lot of success in, and I ended up dropping out of that program. It was voluntary, so I didn't get in any trouble from that. So the warrant, so I was assaulted on the 2nd. The warrant didn't go into place to arrest him until the 8th. I did not know that until looking at this. They recalled the warrant on the 17th. He went in front of a judge on the 17th. They did a no contact order on the 17th. I had attempted to get like an emergency no contact order until he could be picked up on the warrant, and they told me that I couldn't, and I don't know why. But so no contact order went into effect on the 17th of July as well. He had his first hearing for an official appearance or initial appearance on the 17th of July. Was notified that arraignment was on August 29th. He was released released on pretrial release, and appointed a public defender. And then, so he spent like less than 24 hours in the jail. He made another appearance on the 18th of July and then on August 4th. He pled not guilty initially. So then they did discoveries and all of that. And then on the 27th was when he pled not guilty. The pretrial conference was scheduled on September 27th with a jury trial on October 28th. All this time he was still out on bond. I submitted my victim impact statement, my damages statement, which was pretty much just my medical bills. And then on the pretrial conference on September 27th, he changed his plea to guilty. And so they extended my no contact order through September 27th of 2024. They accepted my restitution in the amount of about $822, which is just medical bills. And then let me find... So he pled guilty to assault causing bodily injury or mental illness. He was given probation for 1 year. It says he has to comply with a assaultive behavior class. He's got a civil penalty fee. So with restitution and fines, and then it says costs, he's got about a little over $1,200 in fees and restitution. So when they approved the restitution on October 15th, they have a note on here that they approved restitution and that they mailed a copy of the approval to the victim, unable to mail copy to defendant due to bad address. So at this point, we don't know where he is. I live in a very big city, so, he could still be here, like, as far as in the state, and in the city, and we just don't know where he is. But it makes me a little nervous that, his address is no good. But anyways, so this is much longer than I wanted it to be, and I apologize. But that's what happened. So I am on Seroquel. I'm on Lexapro. I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder and bipolar 2 because I'm much more depressed than I am manic. I think I need another diagnosis of PTSD. but I don't have that diagnosis yet. Um, I go and see a psychologist or psychiatrist. Sorry, a psychiatrist. I really should probably get set up with a counselor. I have an online blog slash diary that I write in, but I should probably see a counselor as well. I still have a stick because even though it is fall here and will be snowing soon, I want to have like a bonfire and like symbolically burn this and just get it out. I hung on to it because I didn't know if they would need it for evidence. Um, and now that they don't, now that it's over with, I just want to burn it and get rid of it. In addition to the evidence, prior to him showing up, he had sent numerous text messages to his father, which is my husband, pretty much saying that he was, going to risk his life and freedom if I didn't, if he didn't get me under control. And my husband, among other things, he had also left a voicemail, and my husband had sent him a text back on a break and said, "I'm not even home. I don't know what this is about." And then shortly after, he showed up and assaulted me. So, we had the voicemail, we had the text, all of this, we had the stick. I was surprised when he initially said not guilty because we had all of that. But they got all of that information in discovery and probably shared it with his lawyer. And he realized that the best thing he could do was plead guilty to this because he likely, in my opinion, wouldn't have been found not guilty if it went to trial. And if it went to trial, he would have gotten a much worse punishment than if he just would have pled guilty to the simple assault. So that's like a huge thing that happened this year. It's been hard for me to wrap my head around, to understand, to forgive, to try to move on. But I'm working on it every day. And I kind of wanted to share that update with you guys as far as where I've been on this channel, why I've been absent. It's 2019 has just been the hardest year of my life. I don't want to get into detail about it because a lot of the struggles or the challenges aren't mine to openly discuss. But 2019 has broken me. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna end it right now. This video. Needing help, whether it's medication or a counselor or ending up in a mental health ward, there shouldn't be any shame in that. You don't have to fight your battles alone. It's much harder if you have an army with you. And, yeah. I always tell myself, if I had cancer, and was prescribed medication, to help treat the cancer, would I be embarrassed about that? I can't control my diagnosis. I can control what happens after that diagnosis by taking my medication, by educating myself, by having a strong support system. I'm working right now on not being a victim anymore. A victim of assault, a victim of my mental health. And it's not easy. It's not easy at all. But I'm going to do it. And I've gotten better in the last month alone. It's gone so much better. So that's where I've been. I miss making videos. There's nothing going on in my life right now. It would be the most boring videos, but I miss doing them. Maybe I will come back. So, anyways, sorry for the long video. Sorry for all the coughing and everything. I will hopefully see you all again soon with a much better, more optimistic update. Please reach out to me if you need support. I've been there. You don't have to do it alone. So, if you get anything from this video, please take that away from this. I will hopefully talk to you all soon on much happier times.